Welcome to Big Daddy Story Time. We're reading Walt Disney's Princess, 5-minute princess stories. Beauty and the Beast, a friend for Phillippe. It was a beautiful morning when Belle arrived at Philippe's stable with a surprise for her friend. Guess what I have? She called happily as she hurried to the horse's stall. The first carrots of the season, Phillippe! I picked them just for you. Phillippe was not as happy as Belle had hoped. He sniffed at the bunch of carrots. But when Belle offered him one, the horse pushed her hand away. Is something wrong? Belle asked, alarmed. Phillippe was always hungry. Phillippe hung his head and sighed. Belle decided that she had to cheer her friend up. But how? If only you could talk, Belle said. You could tell me exactly what to do. Later that morning, Belle hurried to the castle library. She gathered all the books about horses she could find and began to read. Soleil bleu, cried Lemire when Cogsworth, and Chip saw all the books. What are you doing, Princess? I want to cheer up Phillippe, Belle exclaimed. I hoped these books would help me figure out what's wrong, but I'm not having much luck. You should brighten his stall, Lemire suggested. It's important to have the right atmosphere, you know. I believe that music is the best key to happiness, Cogsworth said. It always makes me smile when my enchanted alarm clock goes off. Or how about a bubble bath? Chip chimed in. That used to cheer me up. Belle decided to give each a try. First, she and Lemire decorated Philippe's stall. They covered the walls with wallpaper and sprinkled flower petals on the floor. They piled pillows on the corners, hung curtains on the windows, and strung up beaded garlands. For a final touch, they hung a chandelier from the ceiling. Voila! Lemire exclaimed. What more could a horse ask for? Philippe stared sadly out the window. I wish I knew, said Bill. Next, Cogsworth brought an orchestra to the stable. Belle, Lemire, and Chip listened politely as Cogsworth led the musicians through a very long concert. Phillippe didn't seem to enjoy the music, though. Finally, Belle saw to it that Phillippe was treated to a bubble bath fit for a king. If this doesn't make him smile, Belle told Chip, I don't know what will. In the end, although he was shiny and sweet smelling, Phillippe was still glum, and Belle was still puzzled. Maybe the prince will know what to do, Chip suggested. Belle thought that was an excellent idea. She found the prince in his study and explained everything to him. I wish I knew what Phillippe needed, she cried. Do you have any suggestions? The prince thought for a moment. Maybe a walk would do him good, he said. Always used to cheer me up. Of course, Belle agreed. That's a wonderful idea. Bright and early the next morning, Belle changed into her riding clothes and fetched Phillippe. She led him to the edge of the forest where the royal orchard began. The sight of all the delicious fruit gave Belle an idea. Would you like an apple? The princess asked. Go ahead and choose one. Phillippe wandered from tree to tree, eyeing each apple and even sniffing some, but he looked sad, and his steps were slow and heavy. It was clear his heart wasn't in it. They continued until they reached a meadow. All of a sudden, Phillippe's ears pricked up, and his head snapped to attention. Then he charged off like a racehorse. What, boy? Belle cried, nearly falling out of the saddle. Where are you going? But Phillippe galloped on, straight into the forest. At last they emerged into a clearing filled with wild horses. Phillippe whined, and several of the horses answered him. Finally, Belle realized what Phillippe had wanted. Not a fancy stall, or fine music, or a bubble bath. He wanted to be with other horses. Phillippe trotted eagerly over to the herd. Well, go on, Belle said as she swung out of the saddle. Go have some fun. Soon Phillippe was playing with one of the horses. The two horses chased each other around the clearing and found a patch of delicious grass. All too quickly the day was over and the sun began to set. Oh, goodness, we've got to get going. I promise we'll be back soon, Belle told Phillippe. As they started toward the castle, Belle heard the sound of hooves behind them. Well, look at that, Phillippe, she exclaimed. It's your new friend. The horse who had played with Phillippe all afternoon was following them home. By the time they reached the castle, the two horses were walking side by side. Welcome to our castle, Belle told the new horse when they arrived. We're honored to have you as our guest. To show the horse she meant it, Belle fixed up the stall next to Philippe's. There, she said when she was through. Now this looks like a stable where a horse or two could live happily ever after. And that is exactly what they did. What have we learned today, my friends? We have learned from Belle, the beast, a lost pony, a puppy, the we learned from Belle and Philippe and the prince and all of Belle's friends that we should help our friends when they're not feeling good because that's what friends do. Be happy and have a great day, my friends. Be sure to like, favorite, and subscribe. Stay tuned for more Big Daddy Story Time. God bless.